the flavor. Plus I can bump a jump, I got the funk. Straight from my underground hideout, I freak it in the house and let the hits just ooze out. Bust on the scene to let you know what was in front and got you screaming for my album, so I had to do something.
Lords of the Underground, Newark, New Jersey, featuring Do It All Dupree, Mr. Funky, and DJ Lord Jazz, active since 1990. Today's feature has been called Legends of one of the golden eras of hip-hop. From the late 80s to early 90s, hip-hop had a sound that captivated a worldwide audience and laid a foundation for the genre that has lived on since then, even if in smaller peaks and valleys as time goes on. That sound was the boom bap, kick drum, and acoustic snare that played well off the DJ scratching and defined what hip-hop was back then and what some refer to as real hip-hop or traditional hip-hop today. While artists like KRS-One and Rakim made the sound popular, Lords of the Underground mastered it, and for 2 years from 93 through 94 were one of the hottest groups hip-hop had to offer. They released hip-hop classic after classic and were even to this day heavily sampled by fellow hip-hop artists like Biggie Smalls, Kanye West, even French Montana and Nicki Minaj brought the Dungeon Dragons out in salute to the Lords. Biggie liked their classic Chief Rocker so much, he sampled Mr. Funky's voice for his Machine Gun Funk track on his classic debut album that came out just a year later. The duo rhymed flawlessly off one another on those boom bap SP1200, Akai S900, MPC 60 made beats about their real-life hood circumstances, having to see poverty, violence, and the drug epidemic play out right before their eyes, which made most hip-hop artists of the boom bap era much more grimy and careless in their appearance, with scrunched faces, deprived of a smile because there wasn't much to smile about. On their song Sleep for Dinner, they talk about the financial struggles in the black community and how some days it got so bad they had to go without food. Instead, for dinner, their parents would just tell them to go sleep it off. Other times, they'd find excuses for the hunger, like bad grades and poor behavior at school, and sleep was the only option to forget the hunger pains and survive another day. A relatable story of the less fortunate communities, which brought instant connection to the group and catapulted their voices in rap. They made classic tracks in a short span, BET even naming them the best rap group in 1993. But like most groups, they enjoyed a lifespan not long enough for their potential to really shine through when they were at their hottest. Over time, their voices and music became faint, as most today struggle to remember their influence as personal goals separated these legends, and like Nas in 2007, begs the question, where are they now? What happened to the Chief Rockers so important to the boom bap era? Let's talk about it. Salute to Marlon Bellamy for this request. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Lords of the Underground were a rap trio consisting of DJ Lord Jazz from Cleveland, Ohio, Do It All Dupree, and Mr. Funky from Newark, New Jersey. They initially came together during their time at university in North Carolina, while Do It All and Funky were looking for an in-house DJ. They found Lord Jazz and the magic was instant. By 93, they were signed to Pendulum/Elektra and released their hit records Chief Rocker and Funky Child, gaining notoriety and traction for their heavy bass, boom bap sound, and glare of humor and personality before the release of their debut album Here Come the Lords, predated by the song Psycho in 1992, produced by Marley Marl, who'd often allow the Lords to record at his studio and join producer K-Def for the album. The charisma and exciting sound of Do It All, mixed with unique voice of Mr. Funky, made Lords of the Underground stand out in the competitive golden era, but as their name states, didn't cross over into mainstream, instead remained underground until they just disappeared. Stunt number 1, Not Feeding the Fans. After the success of their debut album, the group came back the year after to release a follow-up, this time under Pendulum with EMI distributing, and although another hard-hitting record led by the single TikTok that was the only top 100 song, the group ran into the all-changing label issues, losing their record deal due in large part to lack of sales. During this time, new songs were scarce from the underground, and like Do It All said in an interview with Who Mag, fans are unforgiving. Their love for an artist is conditional to how much you feed them. When the feeding stopped, so did the attention toward the group. Some today might call it relevance. In their absence, the group worked on music, even finishing an entire album, but couldn't find the right label deal to release it, and that album would never come out. In the meantime, Do It All said they, as artists and people, began to grow in age and expand their individual goals in life in different directions. A third album did release, but it took 5 years to do so in 1999, called Resurrection, under fellow New Jersey native Queen Latifah's new record label Jersey Kids. A fitting title because many hip-hop fans started to wonder from then what happened to the boom bap legends. As a startup label, Jersey Kids didn't have the machine of a major label, and because of the lack of success of their previous albums, even though some publications have their debut going platinum but remains unconfirmed, Jersey Kids didn't promote Resurrection heavily, leaving most Lords of the Underground fans shocked they even had a third album release. Supposedly, there was a deal in place with Island Def Jam that was lost, causing a delay as well in the release of their music. Either way, fans moved on and got their fix from other artists, and by then there was a totally different sound from the mid to late 90s heading into the 2000s. The boom bap sound had all but faded in that time. Stunt number 2, Other Goals. 1999's Resurrection failed to chart or make up for lost time between that and album 2, and another 8-year wait for album 4 just about put the group to rest. House of Lords released in 2007, and as you can imagine, by then only the underground music scene cared about a new Lords of the Underground album. 2007 was a completely different time in hip-hop. Gangsta rap of the early 2000s, snap music, crunk music had all passed, and rappers like Lil Wayne, Kanye West, and Jay-Z were dominating the rap waves, predating the swag rap few-year run into Drake and a softer sing-song rap sound far different from what the Lords were known for. This in part dimmed any release from the group and gave them the time away from the spotlight to pursue other ventures like solo albums, as well as capitalize on their underground touring opportunities. Mr. Funky went back to school to get his degree, Lord Jazz moved to Paris and became a popular radio personality, and Do It All began to explore his acting and political careers, even appearing in the hit TV shows Sopranos, Law & Order, and 30 Rock. By 2007, they had fully grown up in the music industry and wanted to focus on their lives as grown men on other things. Making new music and dealing with all the politics surrounding releasing new music or albums became less and less important, causing the last bit of mainstream fans they had to completely vanish. They kept their underground fans happy though, touring their music, basically gracefully bowing out contention for top spots in rap. Stunt number 3, Fully Underground. The 2010s and throughout was more of the same from the group. By the later parts of the decade, Lords of the Underground were fully recognized as an underground group you had to know or do your homework to understand their impact on hip-hop. In 2017, Do It All ran for councilman in Newark and was finally given an opportunity in 2022, elected to represent the West Ward. In 2020, they did release a 5th album led by their single What's Up, showcasing they never lost their skill or put aside the boom bap sound for the popular music of the time. What's Up is a song that goes crazy on the underground scene whenever they perform it, which is pretty much what the Lords have resigned to today. Expect it, as both are in their 50s and far removed from the popular sound of the early 90s. In the end, they released 5 albums, most would say 2 in their prime, and ever since the mid-90s were more focused on personal development and exploring what they individually had to offer the world. Would I say they flopped as artists? No, not at all. The 90s had so many great rap artists and groups to even compete at that time and gain some recognition. Even awards for one of the best of the time says a lot about the skill and career of Lords of the Underground. No, they never crossed over, and not all legendary artists do. Nowadays, whenever they create new music or perform, it's mainly for die-hard fans of the underground to enjoy, as they focus on living life free of competing for who's the best on the mic. Their era has passed and they seem just fine with it. All in all, the boom bap sound had a great representative in this group, and artists and inner city young men do as well. They've shown that rap isn't the be-all end-all when it comes to the life of an artist. They found ways to branch off, educate themselves, and make a difference in their community, even if that means in a different country or right where it all started in New Jersey. Salute, much respect. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.